Welcome, one and all, to the show. Wired up, fired up, ready to go. BlueTruth, New York Rangers talk with Brian Attard, powered by the Sportsbox Network. Like and follow on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for those of you who have joined the live stream for watching live. If you happen to be watching the YouTube replay, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Maybe you'll catch us on the live stream one of these days as well. Today is Thursday, February the 2nd, episode 28 of BlueTruth. We have hit the All-Star break, roughly the middle of the season in the NHL. And today we find ourselves less than 30 days away from what promises to be an eventful, I'll use the word eventful trade deadline for the Rangers as they look to fill the holes on the roster in preparation for another run for this group at a Stanley Cup. Tonight, we'll talk about where we are right now, a mid-season look back at some of my fearless predictions that I made at the start of the season, see if we're on track for any of that, and who might be coming in, who might be on the way out as the trade deadline approaches. Comments coming in. Frankie Bajada, let's go Rangers, brother. How the hell are you? Matt DeRosa, that's right. Let's go. Hank and Dichter, review and preview. Love those guys. Just finished up a Giants show. If you're looking for Giants coverage, that's not my bag, but it's there, so check them out. Mark, sir, how are you? Rock, brother, how are you? I saw Sean at the guys from Two Guys One Cup, phenomenal Ranger stuff. I went to a game with Jim Schmiedeberg against Vegas from Blue Shirt Underground, and I ran into Sean. Those guys are awesome. Again, more Ranger content's better for everybody, so please, it's wonderful. Follow those guys. They're fantastic. As we get going tonight, would it surprise you to know that we find ourselves 6 days away from the 5-year anniversary of the letter, when the then leadership of our New York Rangers informed season ticket holders, fans, and the world that the team was going to attempt to tear down their roster and rebuild it to, quote, build the foundation for the next Stanley Cup contender, end quote. Within 4 years, the Rangers had made it as far as they had since 2015. And that was a conference finals appearance a year ago. It is remarkable, really, to think that they did tear it all down and build it back up to where we are right now in less than 5 years. And it's crazy for me because my son, Braden, was born on January the 12th of 2018. Not even a month before the letter went out. So every day I see him and I think of how he was this tiny little thing. And it feels like it was 3 weeks ago. And he just turned 5. And time absolutely flies. And in case you're wondering about my parenting skills, I will share this with you. Hey, Braden, what are the hockey teams that we don't like?
New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
And the Flyers.
Uh-huh.
The Islanders.
Yeah.
And the Penguins.
That's right. Who do we love?
The Rangers.
That's right. Let's go Rangers. I should win some kind of a Parent of the Year award for that. I mean, it can't be better, right? I mean, that's certain things in life are non-negotiable, and that's one of them. So, Mike Epstein, brother, how are you? Fresh rebuild, cap hell as a lot of teams. Yeah, we're in it. Frankie, the Islanders think they're going to make the playoffs with Bo Horvat. Yeah, that's not in the cards. Frankie Gallo, perfect. Thank you, sir. That's going to be Hank Jr. too. That's right, brother. That's what makes it fun. But no, he's taking into it. So, all right. So let's get into the meat of tonight's content by looking at the state of the Rangers at the All-Star break. They are 49 games in. The Rangers find themselves 27-14-8, good enough for third place in the Metro. Through 49 games last year, they were 31-13-5, 6 points behind the Devils. 2 points ahead of the Washington Capitals, 4 games in hand on them. 6th best in the conference, as you can see there. 10th best in the league, 8th by points percentage. So basically, when you compare where the Rangers are today to where they were a year ago, 49 games in, they were 31-13-5. The Rangers are 27-14-8. So, frankly, they are a loss, and 3 BS 3-on-3 overtime shootout nonsense losses behind the pace from last year. And I think if you think back to last year and how that season went, and remember that they got shot out of a cannon to start the year last year, seeing the numbers and seeing that generally the difference in the team last year to now is a couple crap breaks in 3-on-3 in a shootout and a loss. That's the difference. And when I was preparing for tonight and I was looking at those numbers, like that actually calmed me a little bit, because I feel as though, and you know, I think that we can all agree they have not come close to consistently playing their best and most complete game this year. I think their efforts have been up and down. I think the offense has been up and down. I think the defense has been up and down. I think the goaltending has been up and down. Everything has been up and down. And despite that, they're very much in the mix. Despite never really feeling like they've been this dominant team for extended stretches, minus the win streak, they have the 10th best record in the league, 8th by point percentage. And it's been a maddening year in so many ways. And I know you feel it, because I post those things after games and the comments come in, and I feel like the pulse of the fan base is always right on. But despite everything, and the comments, Rock, you're so right. A ton of points they've given away. Ray, what's up, brother? How are you? I wish your team good luck, but nothing personal. Frankie, I know, but those one goal lead losses have felt like daggers. And Rock, you're dead on. But despite all of that, they're 6 points behind the Devils at the break. It looked like they'd never be able to catch the Devils. They're 6 points behind them with half a season to go. Carolina has been, who we thought they'd be, and it might be a lot to ask to catch Carolina. I mean, they're 14 points back of Carolina. I think that's tough. I think that's tough. But for all the times that it has felt to this point, like the sky is falling, the sky isn't really falling. And when you look at it for what it is, it's okay. Have they played their best? Absolutely not. But they're in the position that they're in. So if you are able to build some consistency, if you're able to have a trade deadline like you had last year, where you fill in the holes that you know that you have, and the team gets better from there, things are going to be just fine, at least for a playoff positioning standpoint. Joe Danza, Rangers are in a good spot. I think they're in a better spot than we want to give them credit for. You know what I mean? Like, I think that because as again, Rock has laid it all out here. I mean, we remember those games, right? You see the word Hawks, you remember how bad that was. You remember the Ducks game. You remember the third period against San Jose. Like, you remember that. You remember the blown lead against the Oilers. I was home watching that game in the third period. My wife's waiting for me to go out, and she said, I gotta go. I'm like, well, 3 minutes after she left, they let in goals in the third period. You think of that Devils game. You think of the Leafs again recently. But despite all of that, they're where they are. And I think that's it's actually, it's calming, but maybe it's more bad because then you're like, well, shit, we should have really been up here. I get it. I get it. I hear you. Frankie Gallant, in perspective, you are correct, sir. Thank you. My buddy John Damiano, what's up, bro? Says not at all, referring to the spot that we're in. Ray, Devils fan, winner comes out of the East this year. There's a team in the West that should scare anyone. John says it's a big year for Drury. Hank breaking down the numbers, 8-2-2 in the month of January. Now, I'm the person, so I'm that guy, Hank. I'm the guy that says, well, really, they're 8-4. They're really 8-4. If you want to get technical, they won 8, they lost 4, but we know the hockey system. Vince, Cop Cut, new name to the show. Thank you for watching, sir. Give us a like and a share. We appreciate that. I agree. They're in a good position considering they haven't nearly played their best hockey, and no, they have not. There is another level or two to what this team is capable of, and they haven't hit that gear yet. Maybe they never get there. I don't really know. I would like to see them get there, and so would you, but they haven't gotten there, and that's not, it hasn't hindered them. Because for all of the great hockey the Devils have played, they've fallen off. They've come back to earth a little bit. Again, they had a 14-point lead on the Rangers. It was 0. Now it's 6. So we'll see. Mike says just where we'll get rentals for first rounders. Hold that thought. We're going to go through the deadline in earnest tonight. I'm bringing the heat tonight. I have them very well prepared for the show tonight. I haven't been on since December. I wanted to get on January, and then life happened, and then it is what it is. And then, it is now I have a lot to discuss with all of you fine folks. Anthony Formosa, brother. Shesterkin isn't as sharp. Lots of soft goals. We'll talk about that. Matty Davey, again, another comment. They're literally where they are because of the goalie. That's it. Well, I don't know if you mean that in a good way or a bad way. We're going to get into the numbers, but Shesterkin's not what he was last year. And they're still right there. And that to me is a reason to be bullish because they won a lot of games last year. They had no business winning. This year, as Rock outlined, they've lost games they had no business losing. Everything kind of levels out. Water finds its level. Fortunately, it found a better level for the Rangers last year than this year. Hank, what is your concern for Panarin? We'll talk about that in a second here. I've got a lot of comments coming in here. I love you guys, by the way. Thank you for the interaction. Ray, what do you think of the Horvat trade goes with the rest of the market? Does it soften it? So my gut reaction to the deal was I thought the Islanders got bent over on the deal, actually, because, again, Horvat is a pending UFA. I don't think he's going to want to sign there. Arati was this, they're probably their best prospect in a shallow system. They gave up the one, which ended up being conditional. Bevilier is not a bad player. I don't know. I go back and forth on it, actually, Ray. I don't know if it makes it a buyer's market or a seller's market. I don't know that anyone's going to beat that offer. I also don't think it's going to make a difference for the Islanders. They're making the playoffs. But, we'll see. Rock, is this team good enough to beat the Canes and the Bruins? Maybe. Were they good enough to beat the Canes last year? No, and they did. Okay, so there's always that maybe with this team, and a lot of it is the goaltender, depending what level he wants to play at. But yes, and Matty, he is the best goalie in the NHL. Matty, when he wants to be, that's the problem, is the inconsistency. We're gonna talk about that. We will talk about that. So again, I think if you look at some of the numbers, Panarin, Zibby, and Fox have basically been point per game players so far. So 49 games in, Bread's at 50 points. So in regards to Hank's question, am I concerned? I'm not overly concerned as a point per game player. We'll talk about my prediction on him and why it's fallen short. Zibby's at 49, that point per game right on. Fox is at 48. So I mean, the top end of the team, I think, is doing what the top end of the team is supposed to do. Lafreniere and Kakko are at 22, 23 points apiece. Kakko's 9 goals and 14 assists is a mirror image of the production that Barclay Goodrow has generated. To say that that's not ideal would be an understatement. And I do think they need to figure that out, which we'll talk about as well. But I want to take a look at some of my preseason predictions. I figure it's, roughly the midpoint of the year, or the figurative midpoint of the year. So I want to see where on pace I am on being right, wrong, well, wrong, somewhat correct. It's predicting the weather, right? So I had made 7 predictions before the start of the season. Prediction 1. Chris Kreider won't score 50 goals this year, but he will score 40. Well, through 46 games that he's played this year, Chris Kreider has 20 goals. That, math majors, puts him at a 35 goal pace. That's not 40. It's definitely not 50, but he is on pace to have the second 30-plus goal season of his career. And again, I don't know. I don't think anyone thought that Kreider would replicate last year. We all kind of thought that that felt like an outlier. It was. He could get to, he should comfortably get to 30 again if he stays on this pace, which again, he's never done. So it would be his second best scoring year. But I think 40 might be a touch out of his range. Prediction number 2. Artemi Panarin will break his career high in goals with 32 and his career high in points with 96. Hank asked me, Hank, if I was concerned about the bread man. Well, my preseason prediction is going to crash and burn hard here. He's on pace for 20 goals and 82 points, or 80 points. I'm sorry, 82 points, actually. I'm dead on right. Those are both well short of 32 and 96. So that is disappointing, right? It's disappointing because I thought that he'd really come out with a fire under his ass given the playoffs last year. You know, he was questioned. I mean, obviously he had the winning goal against Pittsburgh. I was there for that. It was wonderful. I'll never forget the memory. But he had an underwhelming postseason last year. That hasn't really materialized. And I think that the concern would be, have we seen the best of him? Because time catches up with everyone. And that is a major concern of mine, that the core of this team is getting a little older. And does that hinder your chances to win? Yes. We'll see when the second half holds for him, but I'm not bullish that he's going to suddenly break it, like really go on a hot streak and start to threaten those career highs that he had. Prediction number 3 involved Philip Hedl. I had predicted this would be the last year for Philip Hedl as a member of the New York Rangers. Well, based on the season he is having, I have absolutely no idea how they bring him back financially. He is an RFA with arbitration rights, and that contract is going to be a massive problem. He is 6th on the team with 29 points. He has 16 goals in 41 games. And then it's like, well, is he your number 2 center or your number 3 center? And if he's your number 2 center, well, that means that your number 3 center is Vincent Trocheck, who signed for 6 more years, making 5.6. Are you ready to see potentially a third line for the next number of years with $12 million locked up in your left wing of Chris Kreider and your center of Vincent Trocheck? I don't think the numbers are going to work on Hedl, which is the same case I made at the start of the season, which was why. Unless he takes a below market deal because he wants to stay, I really don't think they're going to be able to bring him back. And I think that when you give a 7-year deal to Vincent Trocheck, you've cast your lot that this is the guy that we're going to make our number 2 center. So, catching with the comments here, Mark Brown, stop changing the lines every other shift. I could not agree with you more. I don't know how they build consistency, and they can't. I mean, I get Vigneault PTSD with some of the things Gallant does. Tom O'Neill, I'd rather his fire comes out in late spring. Yes, I would agree with that if it comes out at all, which again, we'll see. Mark Brown, no movement clause is really hurting. Yes, I would agree with that. Although the ones that you gave them out to, I don't necessarily think you'd be able to trade anyway. Trouba's opens up to a modified. That'll take care of itself, I think, in time. But Kreider was Kreider. Frankie Gallo, Trouba giveaways in the defensive zone have to stop. Well, he's only getting paid $8 million, Frankie, so you can't. You know. John E.U. Panarin will never win a cup. Bank on it. Well, John, I hope that you're wrong. I mean, odds are we say he wouldn't, right? It's hard to win. Frankie Gallo, Phil is hot. Yes, he is. And again, Rock, another reason why the Trocheck deal is brutal is because of the emergence of Philip Hedl. But like I said, if you're Hedl and you feel as though there is a glass ceiling that this is where you're going to be, what do? Trocheck stole Hedl's spot, but they weren't ready to do that. Again, Hedl did not break out until this year. We'll talk about that a little bit. Tom, he's on a bridge deal right now. He was making 2.3 for 2 years. That was the bridge deal. That was the bridge deal to arbitration rights. If he takes the Rangers to arbitration, what's he going to get in this market? Not a number I think the Rangers can pay. So, concerned. Matt DeRosa figures if I don't develop a center, we can't afford to keep him. I don't know how they do. I would love to see it. I don't know how they make those numbers work. The flat cap has just obliterated the Rangers more than a lot of teams. And should the cap change? Absolutely. You're seeing gridlock with the trade market. It's tough. And that's the NHL right now. That's why you're not seeing big deals, because they can't make the money match up. It is what it is. No, no, actually, Mike, if I had to assign a jersey list of players from this team, it would be Fox 1, Shesterkin 2, and List. Those are the only two you're going to get. They're the safe ones, and Fox is the safest. Fox, that number is getting retired. Nobody else will wear 23 on the Rangers. You can take that to the bank. Anyway, back to my prediction. So not a very good one. I mean, I think I'm right on Hedl. I don't like it, but I think I'm right. Preseason prediction number 4 was that K'Andre Miller is going to explode this year. And if I can quote Andy Bernard from The Office, nailed it. 25 points in 49 games. He had 20 points all year a year ago. He is 2 goals shy of the 7 he had last year. Now, of course, in the same breath we're talking about Hedl and the money, you know where my head's at. He's in a contract year, and that is concerning. Again, this is the downside to these young players playing well, is then they want to get paid. So would you. And K'Andre Miller, if they lock him up long term, I don't know how they get under $5 million. I really don't. That's going to be a problem. This is not going to be a fun offseason for the Rangers. I'm telling you that right now. They're going to have to play some, financial engineering to figure out how they're going to actually make these numbers work. Because if not, you're going to lose somebody. You are. It is exactly the problem. Nothing happens with what's going to happen with Laffy. Absolutely nothing's going to happen with Lafreniere. We'll talk about it, but nothing. Maddie, Trouba's contract giving every player a no movement clause killed the Rangers. It's a flat cap for everyone, yet the good. Maddie, you're right? But here's the thing, and here's why I don't kill them on the Trouba contract or the Panarin one for that matter. Because when you sign these deals, you sign them, and I've mentioned this before, so I'm a bit of a broken record with this, but you haven't heard it from me, so I'll say it again. You sign them as a percentage of cap with the assumption the cap keeps going up. Nobody saw a global pandemic. Nobody saw everything that's happened since 2019. So if the cap's at 95 million today, you don't worry as much about his 8. But it didn't happen. So it wasn't as if these players' contracts, went down as a result. No, they were their same percentage of cap they always were, and they're not really moving. So until the cap goes up in an appreciable way, and frankly, another concern is if you heard about this, Bally Sports and some of the regional sports networks are going belly up, claiming bankruptcy. That's going to hurt NHL revenue. So if the cap does not go up substantially, the Rangers are going to lose a player, maybe 2. It's going to suck, but it is what it is. Vince, Panarin, in my opinion, is no longer using his speed. It's cute skating, cross-ice passes, not enough shooting. That's why he and Trocheck didn't work. 2 guys capable of scoring, settled on passing. I think that line with Trocheck and Goodrow is a winner. Yeah, Vince, I hear you, but you didn't give Trocheck 7 years to play with Barclay Goodrow. And Barclay Goodrow is a 4th liner. So And on a good team, he's a fourth liner, in my opinion. No, me personally. That's how I would do it. But we'll see. But again, I feel good that Keandre Miller absolutely has exploded. They'll find a way to keep him, yes, but it's gonna be like a root canal. Preseason prediction number 5 was involving Igor Shesterkin and Adam Fox. I had said that Fox, they would both get nominated for the Vezina and the Norris. Shesterkin would win and Fox would not. So this was brought up to me earlier in the show about Igor. I think that we can all, as adults, agree that Igor has not had the year we have expected him to have. And when you compare the numbers, they tell the story. From last year, the save percentage is down from 935 to 918. The goals against average is up almost a full half a goal from 207 to 245. That is a major, major difference in how the team has played this year, and you have to account for that. Now, the reason that, as I mentioned in the open, why I'm not as concerned is because if you're still winning games, your goaltending is not super the way it was last year. That makes me believe, and you've given points away, that the team is playing better. And I think the numbers will bear that out for the most part. So, like, it's not all doom and gloom, right? Like, the fact, yes, Igor is underperforming compared to what we expected from last year. Period. Numbers bear that out. But if you're winning games anyway, and you're in the spot that you are without superior, oh my God, all-world goaltending, that is a good thing because you're not relying on it. You're no longer winning games that you're not supposed to win, which then make you kind of concerned in the playoffs, like, how is that going to work? And this is a playoff team. So I feel... I go back and forth. I am not happy that Igor's not playing the way he had last year. I'm happy they're winning regardless. For Foxy, he is tied, if you look at the odds, with Cale Makar for second to win the Norris behind Erik Karlsson, who's having this rejuvenation type of year, back from the dead. And San Jose is going to be terrible. They're going to miss the playoffs. He's not getting traded because of his contract's a disaster. He may tail off. I think Adam Fox has a legit shot to win the Norris Trophy. So I was close on this, just kind of in reverse. Let's see. Terry, sir, good to see you, brother. How are you? Mark, I'm going to get to your comment in a minute. We're going to talk about that. Tom O'Neill, NHL viewership is 20%. That's brought up for the cap. Yeah. Well, yeah. Tom, but that's my point. So if the RSNs, if the Bally Sports, all those Fox Sports, those networks out there that broadcast the games in local markets, not MSG, of course, they're fine. If they're claiming bankruptcy and things, that ain't good. I mean, that's Bills not getting paid. Joe says no need to panic. Tom says Igor will get hot in late spring. From your mouth to God's ears, boys. Because yeah. In regards to Mark Brown's comments, my prediction number 6 was that the New York Rangers will acquire Patrick Kane at the deadline. Gentlemen and ladies, this is absolutely 100% still in play. As Mark noted, Panarin said he would, quote unquote, love to play with Patrick Kane. I still see this as at least somewhat likely, if not more. And we'll talk about that later on on the trade deadline. To raise question, A, no, but B, they don't have to. And I will get to that in the trade deadline portion. So thank you for bringing that up. You're a little bit ahead of me, but I like that. I like your head's at. We'll talk about that when we get into the deadline. I really do think that Kane's going to end up in New York. I'd almost guarantee it. We'll talk. We'll talk about it when we get to the deadline stuff. I think he ends up here. I've thought that for a while. We'll see. Prediction number 7 was that our New York Rangers would win the Metropolitan Division. Now, that's gonna be tough. It's not so much that I think they can't catch the Devils. I do think that they can. They're going to need Carolina to cool off considerably, and I don't know that that's in the cards. Carolina is 22-3-3 since December 1st. That's better than Boston, as far as I know. I don't think the Rangers can catch them, but we'll see. Every time I see Carolina, I see them losing in the second and winning a game anyway. 3-goal comeback in the third period. It's a very good team. It's a very, very good team. I love Carolina. I love a lot about Carolina. Sure, Tom. Whatever. I will play. So if you'd like me to play, so you want to give me some odds at least? There is no quit in Carolina. Joe. Yeah, it sucks. I hate that I like them because I mean I've loved Svechnikov and Aho. I love players on that team. They're going to be a thorn in the Rangers' side for a very long time. I don't know that the Rangers have enough to catch them. I really don't. Can they catch the Devils? Absolutely. I don't know if they can catch Carolina, to be fair. Interesting comments made recently by Gerard Gallant. And the question is, what do his recent comments about contending versus development say about the Rangers' approach? I will read his quote here verbatim. Recently, he said, "Our team is trying to win games and be a Stanley Cup contending team. So that's what we got to do. I'm not going to sit Panarin, Kreider, or Zibanejad on the bench to play other people ahead of them." So let me be really clear here and speak loudly for the people in the back. The rebuild is over. The rebuild is over. The development of the young players is not the top priority of this head coach or this general manager. The reality of this is that you can't try to do two things at once and expect to succeed at either. The top priority of this head coach and this general manager, probably as a mandate from the owner, whatever Dolan is these days, is to win a Stanley Cup. I don't think it's realistic to expect the Rangers to try to develop and win at the same time. Another Gallant quote in talking about Lafreniere. He said, "I keep saying he's 21 years old. He scored 19 goals last year. I was expecting similar numbers this year, and it hasn't quite been there. I'm not concerned about the kid. A lot of people are, but I think he's going to be a good player. He's got the tools and the talent. I don't know how many times I've said that he doesn't get the same opportunities as other kids get as a first overall pick. You can blame that on me or David Quinn, paraphrasing, but we've got star players ahead of him. We're trying to win. That's my goal." End quote. They are not hiding this. They are very upfront about it. The New York Rangers are trying to win a Stanley Cup right now, very specifically in this or the next 2 seasons. And if you look at the way they've structured their contracts, it tells that story very, very clearly. And I'm not sitting here in front of all of you fine folks advocating that you just blow the kids out, right? Anthony, you were asking me about Lafreniere. They need cost-effective production from their youth. There is no question about it. But the issue that I have, that I see most people, and as you know, I am around in all the Rangers groups on Facebook, spreading the good word of BlueTruth. That's probably how you all found me. And I see these comments about having this amazingly long level of patience with the kids and this slow build and how, we're going to be ready in like 4 years. And I really cannot believe that we are still having these conversations at this point. People are delusional. You don't blow up your youth. But if the right deal comes along and it costs you a piece that might be maybe someday 5 or 6 years from now, a big piece down the road, you have to make that move now. That's not to say that you cut bait with players early for the sake of cutting bait with players early. Look at Philip Hedl. Arguably, in his breakout year this year, in 2023, after being drafted in 2017, people are ready to just fire sale Lafreniere and Kakko because they're not lighting the world on fire. And I think that that's very short-sighted. The NFL and the NBA drafts are different than the NHL's. Kids don't just come up and take starting roles on teams and break out like they do in the NFL. Yes, Capo Caco and Alexi Lafreniere were drafted very high. And yes, they were the only 2 picks the Rangers could make. They were the obvious ones. And again, Jack Hughes goes to New Jersey, and he immediately is getting top 6 minutes and power play time. Capo Caco and Alexei Lafreniere do not have that luxury here. They get 30 seconds of power play time, maybe, because the number 1 unit gets a minute and a half. This team is trying to win now, not develop kids. The window is now, not later. And I don't think they can succeed at either thing if they try to do both. Because if they try to develop the youth and focus on that, they waste the careers of their vets. And Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider et al. Are not getting any younger. So they can't, their hands kind of forced. They can't just put Caco and Lafreniere ahead of spots that their veterans, their high-priced and experienced, talented veterans have a hold on. If you remember, and I referenced this podcast a lot, that David Quinn was on the Cam and Strick podcast. He said, and I quote, "That's just not how it's gonna work. As much as the head coach answers to management, you've got a locker room to answer to." So for the people that I'm assuming they're being legit about it, who post comments that they want to see Panarin benched or whatever, that's just not going to happen. It is not going to happen. We can sit here and romanticize about the hierarchy of a team and how spots are earned and you earn your ice time. At the end of the day, you're trying to win, and you have star players who you are paying an exorbitant amount of money to. You will play your star players because they give you the best chance to win. I have a lot of comments to read because I went on a bit of a soliloquy there. Matt DeRosa, they better not give up a haul for a 34-year-old rental. Isles did, but they got a 27-year-old center. Jonathan, Rock, I'm sorry. I can't understand how the Canes are so good. On paper, they don't look that good. Tom, I got you. I'll take care of you. Whatever you need. My wife makes a ridiculous blueberry bucket. It'll change your life. Clueless comments by Gallant. I fixed it for you. Well, maybe there's more comments here, Mark, but tell me what's clueless. Tell me what part of it's clueless. The rebuild is over. I don't know how you can look at this team and say they're in a rebuild. They're at the cap. They're at the cap. They have guys making $8, $9, $10 million, $11 million in their 30s. This guys, that ship has sailed. You're a contending team right now. And if you're not, bigger problems. Kelly, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you on the show. Devils are developing and have their fair share of veterans. Well, let's go look at the Devils cap and see what they're paying anybody, because that matters. The New Jersey Devils have cap space. Their 3 highest contracts are Dougie Ham. They're paying their goaltender nothing. Jack makes 8. Heischer makes 7.25. Palat makes 6. Nobody else makes any money. They're not really. I mean, again, you have a star player at 21 making $8 million. Kelly Dolan spoke to a few alumni guys. They think Laffy will develop and be fine, be patient. Yeah. No, Kelly, I agree with you. It is not about that. It's that people think that they're just going to go put Lafreniere on the first power play unit and line 1 just because. When Ottawa drafts Tim Stützle, when these other teams take these picks high, it's because they stink. And they have open spots in their top 6 in their power play to go get these points. Not that long ago, Lafreniere at 5-on-5 was not really behind these other number 1, number 2 guys. This wasn't getting power play time. And that was the difference. The Devils' young players have produced more than the Rangers players, especially their forwards. Yeah, he sure was a number 1 overall pick, and so was Jack Hughes. And Jack Hughes went and got top 6 minutes the second he got to New Jersey. Lafreniere and Kakko did not. Because when Kakko showed up, so did Artemi Panarin, and so did Jacob Trouba, and Adam Fox, and whoever else they got this offseason. Still has Zibanejad and Kreider. So you, again, like Quinn said, you have a locker room you have to keep accountable to. Corey, the current team is not cup contenders. Heedle Cable 2 center and should be on power play 1. Then that's going to replace Trocheck. Now, the reason that Trocheck's on power play 1, Corey, is because of the faceoff. Because nobody else can win a goddamn faceoff on this team except for Vincent Trocheck. So you got to try to win the draw. I hear you though. I'm not disagreeing. People rather keep the young kids than win a cup because chances are you can't have both those kids and are huge assets. Well, it's not that. It's not necessarily that, but it's like they want them to be featured. They want them to have the ice time that's given to all these other guys on these other teams that suck. And they don't understand that, like, oh, well, I mean, Panarin is a legitimate star in the NHL, so he's going to get ice time, and Zibanejad gets ice time, and Kreider had 50 goals. You just signed Vincent Trocheck. Like, there's only so much ice time. Almost so much power play time. Justin, how are you? PJ, power play too predictable. Million times agree. Million. Absolute 150%. If we know what they're doing, the other team knows what they're doing. And they got to figure that out. And in Gallant, all these line changes that, somebody else had referenced, I think it was Mark, that all they do is change the lines. They never change the power play. No, can't do that. I would take Trocheck off the power play. That's fine. I'd move Kreider around. Nobody's immune. If it's working and it's at a 30% clip, okay, but it's not. Slowed down tremendously since the start of the year. Maddie, refreshing someone in the Rangers fan base who actually understands the league today. Kudos. Maddie, listen, I thank you. First time I'm seeing you watch the show tonight. Follow the page. Thank you for the great interactions. I'm at the Guard a couple times a year. If you go, come say hello. I'm usually in section 115. Joe, will Chris Kreider win a cup? If the Rangers do so, will he? I don't know. I think not. I guess I missed your comment. Chris Munch, agreed. The time is now this year or next. We have waited long enough. Corey, I feel the jury being able to rely on Kakko and Laugh, replacing the impact from guys like Kopp and Vetrano. So Vetrano was lightning in a bottle. Like I liked him, but he was never going to come back. And Kopp, I think once they made the decision that he was not going to be the center on that second or third line, he was going to go. Kopp also played wing most of the time when he was here. So again, the deadline's going to bring some interesting wrinkles. We'll see what they do. We're going to talk about what I think that they might do. But again, the deadline last year was great. The jury hit it hard. I mean, that's give them full marks. Give them full marks. But they're not giving you the best chance. But Mark, if you're sitting your vets, what's that going to do for your team? Like I again, when the power play is struggling, I would agree with you that you should make a change. But you're not going to bench Artemi Panarin. You're just not. You're not going to bench Mika Zibanejad. You're not going to bench Chris Kreider. That's the leadership group that you have. You're not going to bench Jacob True as your captain. Do you have a concern about Gallant? Yes. Yes, I do. He is about to hit his shelf life. He is about to hit his shelf life. That's exactly right. Frank, great commentary. Nail on the head. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. Justin, I love the kid line. Hope Gallant doesn't break it up. We'll talk about that actually in a second, Justin, about what we think that they need because that plays a role. James, brother, how are you? We really need our youth playing spectacular. No, but you do need secondary scoring. I don't know that they've gotten that yet. Dawson Mercer and Jesper Bratt. Yes. No, I hear you, and I hear where you're coming from. And they've been relatively decent picks, but they get time. Like Bratt's top 6 for them, isn't he? They've and they've done a nice job. They were dead for a long time, and now they're seeing the fruits of their labor. Let's see. Chris, Kane's not the answer. Tail end of his career, recover from injury. Who should we target to pick up? Chris, I'm going to get there. We're coming up. Trouba sucks, though. Well, every captain the Rangers have gets traded, so maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's a sign. Anyway. Guys, I just want to, before we get into this, thank you all for watching. I appreciate the 13 of you that have liked the show tonight. If you happen to just hit the like button on Facebook, I love that. I appreciate that. It helps us get the word out to more and more Rangers fans in the groups that we're in. So if you can give us a like, I would appreciate that. And thank you all for your interaction. We are just less than 30 days away Thank you. I saw a nice jump. You guys are wonderful. Thank you. With the deadline less than 30 days away, what are the Rangers likely to do? And I think to discuss what I think the Rangers are likely to do, I think you have to itemize and identify what do the Rangers need, because last year they needed a guy to play top line right wing. They needed a center-ish type of guy for the second line, and they needed a left-handed defenseman, and maybe some energy on the fourth line. That's pretty much what they targeted, right? I see two specific needs that the Rangers have at this deadline that I think they probably are going to definitely fill one. The other one, we'll see. Number one, the New York Rangers need a top 6 right winger. Breaking news on BlueTruth. You've heard that nowhere. I know, it's crazy, right? A top 6 right wing in this economy? It's a gaping hole in the roster. This has been a revolving door all year. It's been Capo, it's been Veazey, it's been Goodrow, it's been Blay, it's been 2 or 3 other jackasses I can't think of right now, but you know where I am with this. A Stanley Cup contender does not have this nonsense going on with their top line. In a perfect world, this is Capo Kaku. That's what you drafted him for. But for a variety of reasons, it's not. We said at the beginning of the year that the Rangers, for whatever reason, were somewhat sacrificing their top 2 lines to keep their third line intact, and how that was just odd. Well, as it turns out, both Kakko and Lafreniere play their best when they're with Hedl, when they're away from the Kreiders and the Panarins and the Zibanejads. And I discussed this at length with Jim Schmiedeberg from Blue Shirt Underground at the Vegas game we went to, that there's this thought out there that maybe the kids defer too much to the veterans when they're on their lines. And when they're playing with each other away from the veterans, they are more comfortable and they play their games better. Now, any which way you want to slice and dice that, that's a problem. It's a serious problem. It's a long-term problem. But in the short term, it means they need a right wing real bad. Real bad. And of note, let's just say it's Patrick Kane for argument's sake. They go get Kane. Fine. Do we think that Kane's not going to play with Panarin? Of course he is. Of course he is. So that should mean, if Kane's your addition, not saying it's happening, but humor me, Zibby plays between Panarin and Kane. That just makes sense. So then the question then becomes, is kid line 2? It's kind of de facto been that as of late. We can make the assumption that your second line would then be Hedl, Kakko, and Lafreniere, which then makes your third line Trocheck, Kreider, fill in the blank. Maybe that's Vesey. Are you comfortable with the third line of Trocheck, Vesey, and Kreider? That might have to be what happens. Comments. Mike, more worried about part of the kid line being traded. It can deal with the ice time as they are given as long as they are dealt. We'll talk about that in a second. I have to agree with you. Kakko and Laf were always top guys on their respective teams. Here in New York, they aren't even the 4th or 5th option. That slows their development a little. They'll be fine. John's looking at Barbashev, Luke Shen, and the return of Tyler Mott, who is on the market. Frankie, Gallant is an instinct coach. He flies by the seat of his pants. Yeah, I could buy that. There and you hear so much that there's not a lot of structure, you know, and kind of let the players do their thing. I mean, that does make sense. Right. I believe the Rangers target Josh Anderson if they don't get a Tarasenko or a Timo Meier. We'll talk about that. Rock's talking Barbashev, Mott, and Joel Edmondson. Go for bulk and not one guy. John says Montreal, Columbus are not helping the Rangers. Mark Brown talking about Victor Olofsson from Buffalo. I don't think that he's on the market. That would surprise me if he was, but that would interest me. Jacob Magna from San Jose find a defenseman and some grunt for the Spark in the bottom 6. Again, very similar to, I think, what they did last year. Matt, imagine the kid line on the first line with a bad team and with power play minutes. My goodness. But right, though, right, Matt? We all rush. Again, Heedle's having a breakout year. Drafted in 17 is 2023. There's this thing of, if they give up on the kids now, they're going to go somewhere else, be superstars like Tony Monte and other guys that have left this team and done the Todd Marchant and Doug Waite, the other things elsewhere. They also won the Cup that year. Again, I'm not specifically suggesting that they're going to trade either of these guys. We'll get to that. Matty says, I don't know how you can get Kane and keep Kako and laugh. I'm going to get to that. Don't you worry, Matty. We're on the wavelength. The other thing that I think the Rangers do need is a third pair left defenseman. Maybe they'll go get Justin Braun again. He's available. The Flyers aren't going anywhere. Ben Harper, who turned this PTO into a 2-year low-dollar extension, that's a great story. I don't care. He has to be a seventh defenseman at best. They cannot go into the playoffs with Ben Harper in their third pair. I don't know who they're going to get, but maybe it's Braun. But I mean, they'll be in the market. Tom, I know regional sports networks not featuring Brian Attard. I know that guy. In their commercials, don't do well. Tom, only because, and really only because you queued me up for this. For those of you who've seen my face for the first time tonight and have where have I seen that stupid guy's face before? Well, if you watch MSG Network, you've probably seen this spot. So we closed on our house the day of Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I always joke with my wife that buying a house was the second most important thing going on that day. I think every third thought in my mind is about the team. I can't turn it off. My Ranger Man Cave was a project that I've always wanted to do when I finally got a house. Most wives would not sign up for that. If you remember, why you like the teams that you do, it's probably some of your first emotional attachments that you make when you're a kid. I can't wait to share that with him. When we can enjoy it together, it'll be the greatest thing. Just for you, Tom. Just for you. That will be where you see my face before. That commercial has been running on MSG for 5 years now. My son was very young in that video. So yes, they need a third pair left side defenseman. It might be Justin Braun. Wouldn't surprise if it was Justin Braun. We'll see where they go. It won't be very expensive. These people talk about Jacob Chychrun. That's not happening. It's not happening. They are not going to put big assets into a third pair defenseman. That just wouldn't make any sense. That's like putting trading a first rounder plus for a third liner. It's not going to happen. Doesn't make no sense. It's not going to do it. Kevin Davis. Brother, how are you? So we talked about what they need. I think we all agree. I think the obvious one is the right winger. You might do something else in your middle six, maybe a fourth line guy, need a defenseman, right? So the question then becomes, what are the most likely pieces that would head out in a trade? Now, I generally do not think you're going to see any major names off of the roster. You are not. I'm going to go on record. So bite me in the ass, I'm sure. So on video, Alexei Lafreniere and Kaapo Kakko are going to be on the Rangers post-deadline. They will not be traded. Not going to happen. Brian, what if they're going to get Patrick Kane? Hold. We'll get to that. No, they're not. No, they're not. But the goal is to add and not subtract. So I don't think that you're going to see much, if anything, off of the main roster in a deal. So what are their trade chips? I've listed them by 5 in the order I think is most likely to be traded. Number 1, they do have two 2023 first round picks. Absolutely, positively, 1,000,000% both of these picks are in play. They have their own, they have Dallas's from the Nils Lundqvist trade. Guys, they are not thinking about 6 years from now. They're thinking about now. So anybody you're going to draft is not going to play for 3 to 4 years. They don't care. You want them to move their first round picks right now. How many guys are going to play? How many guys are going to play on this team? You want them to be aggressive with those picks. Both of those picks are absolutely 150 million% in play. I honestly, if they have both of them in a month, I'm shocked. I am shocked. Color me shocked. Never would I see it. The draft class is very poor. They could trade up every pick in this draft. Yep. Chris, when the kid line is together, productive any way you cut is statistically more productive per minute than other team number one lines. You are spot on. Not nearly as effective when the kid line is separated. Team NYR possibility. Hold that thought, Chris. Not sure all the items involved. Not a GM. By the way, you are great and the podcast is great. Thank you. Good content. Just what I needed with no games during the All-Star break. I kind of picked this week because I'm like, nothing else is going on. So I'm going to worry about post-game and everything like that. Rock says, Blay and Crab, the only two guys that may get moved out. Hold that thought. Corey, do you see them trading Heedle, seeing the likely won't have the cap space to keep him? No, not right now. Nope. Because they trying to get through this year. They'll worry about it after. Nils is conditional, but Dallas is not going to get in the lottery. Dallas is good right now. Let's assume that Dallas is picked. Not going to fit in this top 10. That's absolutely insane to even think that way. I don't know what you're referring to, Mark, but if you let me know, I will be happy to respond to it. Maddie, if I'm Drew, I wouldn't have any picks in this draft. Yeah. Empty the clip. Draft is not poor, considered a deep draft. Yes, Rock, but how many of those people are going to play before my kid gets into third grade? He's 5. Fourth grade. I was 10 in fourth grade when the Rangers won. You have guys that are in their 30s. Guys, the window is now. They are not cyclical. Sports is cyclical. Sell off like they did in the letter. Accumulate while you can. I would be shocked if both those picks are here. But Mark, I will respond to your comment. Happy to. Let me know what the insanity. If it was the picks, I can discuss that. Trade chips. Number 2 trade chip. Zach Jones. 68th overall pick in 2019. I said coming into the year that if he couldn't make the team this year, he was never going to. At this point, I do not see how his future isn't somewhere else. The strength of his game and what he does, they already have, right? Fox is your offensive defenseman. Miller gives you a bit of that. Jones reminded me of Nils Lundqvist's skill set anyway, and he's gone. I think Jones is a prime movable piece. Puck-moving defensemen do carry a premium. Teams might like that. I do not think he has a long-term spot here. He is blocked by Ryan Lindgren and Keandre Miller, both of which I think are here for a long time. Mark, trading both picks. One pick, yes. Both picks, no way. Why? Mark, and I know you are an advocate of the youth. I'm not saying that you are wrong. What I'm saying is for this team, it doesn't matter. Because an 18-year-old kid is not going to play for 3 years. In 3 years, plenty of guys that are very vital to the offense of this team are very old, are entering their final year. Panarin has 3 years left on his deal. Their window is 3 years. They're not worried about the 4th. They're trying to win now. And you will kick yourself if there's a deal you can make with a pick or a Zach Jones or a couple of names that are going to probably upset somebody when I bring them up. You have to make that deal. You don't want to know about ifs and buts. Like, oh, maybe if we just tried to get that other piece, maybe. If you're going to sell them off, trades better be worth it. Well, they did give 2 for Marty St. Louis, right? Same. The third piece that I think is in play, which is going to upset people, is Will Cooley. 60th overall in 2020. I really do think that Cooley could be somebody that's moved out in, a Patrick Kane deal. Longer term, I don't think that there are wing positions on this team to be had. And I also don't think that prioritizing a Will Cooley fourth line type guy makes sense if somebody else is willing to overvalue him in a deal. Part of me wonders if they didn't bring Cooley up as a bit of a showcase. I could see that. I think he very likely could be the forward if they move somebody. Piece number 4. Vitaly Kravtsov. 9th overall pick in 2018. If there is any roster player who's going to be going out in a deal of value, guys, like, look, Sammy Blais is at 0, so I'm not talking about Sammy. Nobody wants Sammy Blais, but they'll take him off your hands. It's going to be him, and if an underwhelming year, still has a ton of upside and talent, but I think that him and this coach are never going to be on the same page. His future is probably not going to be here. Really, if you think back a year ago, you probably never even thought that he'd be a value piece to move anyway. The relationship with the team was fractured. He was on the other side of the world playing a different league. You didn't think he's ever going to come back. You thought maybe they get a 3rd round pick for him. So I don't know. I think the fact that he came back and played, I think helps. The talent's still there. I just don't think it's going to work out for him here. So once again, try for 1 cup, then be a joke for years to come, like 94. People wonder why his team has won 2 cups in 83 years. Well, but Mark, if they keep these kids around, by the time the draft pick that you make now plays, Panarin's gone, Zibanejad is older, and Kreider is, who knows, what, 35? So what's your team look like? Because you can't get out from under the contracts. So you're still paying them. What I would respond to you with that is, if you look at the way they've structured their contracts, they've given themselves a 3-year window to win a Stanley Cup. Igor will get a new deal somewhere along those lines. Fox is paid forever. It's the way I read it. But you have to be aggressive. You have to be aggressive. Brian Fogelstra, new name. Welcome to the show. Good call on Cooley. Thought that call stood out to me as well. It was a bit of a showcase. That's just the way. I think they wanted to get some tape on him, in the NHL again, because he can make an NHL roster right now for what his role is. Not going to be a 30-goal guy, right? But he can be that energy type, bottom 6 type guy. Teams like to have those pieces. So, like, again, I do think that it felt to me like it was a showcase. John, Krav, and Cooley. Yep. The least, you're going to get all mad. You're going to get mad. The least likely piece that could get traded is Brennan Othmann. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to happen. He is the least likely to go. He is their top prospect. And unless there is a Timo Meier, I don't think he even gets moved. But even that, I really don't think he gets moved either. I think he's as close to a non-roster untouchable as they have. So am I trading Othmann? No. Probably not. You can't rule it out that it could happen. I am not saying I would be enthused by it, but we have to be, as adults, realize that this could happen. He is a valuable trade commodity. PJ says, no way Othmann's going anywhere. Okay. Rock says they need cheap depth for next season. Okay. Who's leaving? The only forward who is not under contract next year, the only guy who's UFA is Blais. So, again, I'm not predicting Othmann gets moved. What I'm saying is, if they go out and get a Timo Meier, like in a big deal, probably a piece that might be going out. You got a gift to get. I don't think he goes for a Kane, though. Again, untouchable in many ways. I don't know that they're going to move him, but I think again, I'd be shortchanging to say that it can't happen. So we've talked about what they need. We've talked about what they have. Let's talk about who they might go get. And again, you know me, I love breaking news with all of you fine folks on BlueTruth. Trade target number 1 is Patrick Kane, number 88 from the Chicago Blackhawks, 34 years old, right wing, a pending UFA, 9 goals, 25 assists, 34 points this year. He has a no movement clause, so he will only come to the New York Rangers if he wants to come to the New York Rangers. And the comment was made, I've mentioned this before. How are you going to go get Patrick Kane without trading Lafreniere or Kakko? It is the easiest thing in the world. If Patrick Kane says to Chicago, send me to New York, the Rangers have all the bargaining power in the world. Patrick Kane doesn't go anywhere. Patrick Kane doesn't want to go to. Patrick Kane has no trade clause. He gets to pick. So if he says, send me to New York, and Chicago says, well, Patrick, you got us 3 Stanley Cups. We owe you one. Let's take care of you on the way out. Let's send you where you want to go. You want to go to New York? We'll send you to New York. Rangers have the negotiating power there. Is it going to be a giveaway? No. You're looking at one of those first-round picks, if not both, depending on the deal. You're looking at a mid-range prospect. It could be a Will Cooley. It could be a Zach Jones. It won't be Othman. It won't be Kakko, and it won't be Lafreniere. Bank on that. Nah. For a rental? No. The Rangers will not move those players for a rental. The pick? Sure. That's par for the course. Zach Jones in a 1? Sure. Cooley Jones in a 2? Maybe. But not Lafreniere and not Kakko. I'd be shocked. Kravtsov in a 2? Maybe. I could see that. But they're not going to break the bank. Because they would be in the position of strength. Because they're the team that he wants to go to. And Chicago wants to do right by the guy who brought 3 Stanley Cups there. Right. If New Jersey lands Meyer, Islanders or Landing Corp, does it force the Rangers to do something? No. Nothing that the Islanders do, the Rangers are even concerned with. The Islanders are a 0. The Islanders not making the playoffs. The Islanders stink. Stink. Going nowhere. Period. Hold that. Hold that thought. Fox did the same thing. Yep. It's good to be a destination, Corey, isn't it? I want to go to New York, and I'm going to. Does he need? I don't. Maybe. I don't know. Is he playing? As far as I know, he's playing. Can he get through the rest of the year? Goodrow by. Talk Kreider and help Wave and help Boston try to be the hometown hero to win the cup. But see, but Mark, why are you destructing this team? Do you hate this team? Because they're not going to trade Barclay Goodrow because they're just not. But why are we moving Chris Kreider, who's the 2nd leading goal scorer on the team? Yeah, 20 goals, 46 games. You can't. The time to move Kreider was before the contract, not now. Can't do it now. Don't see it. Don't compare Kane to like a Bork. So that's different, right? So they sent Bork to Colorado to go win a Stanley Cup. Never won it there. This is more, we'll do right by you because you won already for us. That's my read on it. Rock, when the Rangers acquired Eric Stahl, Canes were in the same situation as the Hawks are. 2 second-round picks and a B-level prospect. There you go. Precedent. People think, they want Lafreniere and Kakko. I mean, maybe we give them Gretzky. Will they take Messier? Oh, they probably want Brian Leetch too. Patrick Kane, after all. Rangers are in the position of strength if and only if Canes wants to come here. I am not suggesting that you overpay for Patrick Kane. No. I am suggesting that you utilize your advantageous negotiating position as the team he wants to go to play with his buddy who you were stupid enough to trade many years ago. That was dumb, by the way. Dumb. I don't think so. If Patrick Kane wants to come to the Rangers, he'll be a Ranger, and the price will not be that much. That's my take. Trade target number 2, Vladimir Tarasenko, right wing from the St. Louis Blues, 31 years old, pending UFA, 10 goals, 19 assists, 29 points. He also has a no movement clause, so he will only come to the New York Rangers if he wants to. Vladimir Tarasenko should have been a New York Ranger his entire career. If you remember, it was a 2010 draft. Rangers decided with the 10th overall pick in the draft to take Dylan McIlrath. It's enough to make you cry. Tarasenko went 16th that year. They also took Jaden Schwartz. The Blues had 2 picks that year. Should have been a Ranger. Big, huge. There's one pick I really regret. It's that one. Tarasenko's had some problems in St. Louis. He wants out. He's won a cup there. If he wants to come to New York, again, I think the price for him might be higher. But again, pending UFA, money doesn't really matter because they'll eat half. They don't care. But that's another, again, a legitimate top 6 right winger that can score, which is exactly what they're missing. So do you get both? Absolutely not. You could get one or the other. And I think it all depends on what Kane wants to do. If Kane wants to come to New York and Kane and Chicago will take our deal, fine. Tarasenko probably cost you a little bit more. Okay. Tom. McElrath, what happened to Alexei Cherepanov was a tragedy. McElrath just sucked. McElrath was the wrong pick the minute the pick was made. Cherepanov was the right pick because he fell in the draft because he was Russian. God rest his soul. No, I would not. Dylan McElrath was a disaster of a draft pick. That alone should have gotten Gordie Clark fired. That was a disaster. Don't see it. Should have been Tarasenko. Yeah, but Cam Fowler wasn't like, I mean, what? I don't know. I was never really a Cam Fowler guy. Like, I know he's had an okay career. I mean, look, he's never broken 40. I mean, he broke 42. He just broke 40 points on the first time this year. One time. The league was higher on Brandon Gormley back then, who was a disaster. But again, they could have had Schwartz, could have had Tarasenko. Sure. That was the bad pick. Yep. Oh, they called him the Undertaker, Matty. Oh, sure. Was Hulk Hogan not available? Anyway, Tarasenko should have been a Ranger. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the market for that. Now, Rock. Trade target numero tres. Timo Meier. Now, this is interesting. So Timo Meier is 26 years old. He is a right wing. He is a pending restricted free agent. 28 goals, 20 assists in 48 games. Now, here's the question. This is the problem, right? I spent the last better part of an hour telling you, but the salary cap situation is an abject disaster. How the hell are you going to fit Timo Meier? Well, think creatively. Meier could be a 2-part deal in which you trade for him now, you go on a run, and then you trade his rights at the draft for value. Pretty much close to value as you'd be trading out right now. So if you give up Kravtsov, Cooley, and a 1, I'm sure at the draft you can get a 1 and 2 people back. Take the run, flip the asset, because you're not going to be able to pay Timo Meier zero, no shot. Not going to happen. Doesn't mean you can take a run with him though. It would cost you the most to acquire because San Jose doesn't care what you're going to do with them, but you can recoup some of that in a future deal because it's RFA and there's value. Tom Scavetta, let's go Rangers. I like Timo Meier. Chris Munch, Timo Meier, let's go. Again, it's a risk, but it's a calculated risk, right? Because yes, you will pay more to get Timo Meier than you would from Kane and Tarasenko, younger, whatever. But you own his rights after that. You can flip him. Now, Ray says, I don't think Meier goes anywhere without a long-term deal. I don't know if he gets to decide that. Hold. Sure that he has a no. Does he have a no movement clause this early in his career? I guess it's theoretically possible. Timo Meier does not have a no movement clause. They can trade him to the moon. Can't say no. So, trading his rights brings little. I would disagree with that entirely, James. An RFA, not a UFA, an RFA, a restricted free agent. That's as good as a kid under contract. Sign and trade. They get not even worried about that. That I'm not worried about. Rock says thinks he goes to the Devils and haunts us. Yeah, maybe. Can't rule that out. Corey said, I give both first, Jones and Kravtsov, no one can get most of that back. Right. Sure. Again, that's a big piece. You can, again, okay, tell you what. He's an RFA. Okay. His qualifying deal is $10 million, right? Cool. So let's just say somebody gets smart and they try to do the RFA thing, like where they give him the deal, the offer sheet. What's that? 5 ones? Sure. We'll take your 5 ones. Go ahead. To me, I would do it. Is it a bit of a gamble? Yes, because you don't know that you'll recoup all of what you sent out. I have a very strong possibility of recouping most of it. And if somebody else wants to try to sign your guy, the guy's got a $10 million qualifying offer. I am almost positive that's 5 first-round picks. Maybe 4, whatever. Sure. That would make, to me, that would be a very interesting, very modern NHL play. Use and flip. I like the idea. Matt says, you're right. Take a rod and flip him for a haul. Good point. Brian, prime his career, playing well, attractive piece to have. He is. They just can't pay him. There's just no shot. There's just no money. Like, it's the salary cap hurts teams with money like the New York Rangers. If we could apply the 1997 salary structure to the current NHL, we'd be awesome. But it's not, and we can't. Mark, I thought about flipping Meyer during the offseason scenario. Less teams to trade to because of the $10 million qualifying offer. Yes, but there still is some, and he still has value. So it's you still create a bidding war at that point. But that's why I think he would cost you more to acquire. That's the rub. You probably have to empty the clip to get him. It wouldn't cost you Hoffman. It would cost you Kravtsov, Cooley, and Jones. I don't know. It would cost you a lot, but you could recoup a lot of that back after you take a run. So, good to see you, Robert. How are you? You missed a good show. Watch the replay. I missed you on the show today. So that's kind of where the deadline is. Like, look, the next 4 weeks are going to be very, 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 very interesting. You'll know exactly what this team thinks they can do by how aggressive they are. And I think they're going to be aggressive. I think they have to be. The group only has so many runs in them. The salary cap is going to force their hand. They're not going to be able to keep everyone, so they better strike while the iron's hot and try to make their runs when they have these kids on these affordable contracts. The cap is important. For somebody who said, I hope the Rangers aren't as aggressive at the deadline, I said there is a 0.0% chance that they don't make any trades at the deadline. They will be involved. I don't think you can look at last year and think any differently. So the future of the team's going to change in the next month. Here's hoping that we don't regret any of it, because there's been moves that they've made that time passed and we regretted. I trust Chris Drury. Look, it started off poorly with the Buchnevich thing. I'm not going to rehash ancient history now. He earned my trust at the deadline last year. I mean, a lot of those things were like, okay, and it worked out. Tyler Mott's available. Go get him again. Difference is Kane's already a proven stud in the playoffs. Mostly love playing with his buddy Brad. Yep. Will teams know the Rangers are desperate to unload him and cut back their offers? No, because because they're fighting with each other. I love that argument, though, because that happens all the time. Well, they know you got to move them, so they won't give you as much. Okay. Is there only one team? This is not Kane to the Rangers. This is the Rangers with a valuable piece that other teams want. So unless they're colluding with each other, which they're not, the bids will come in. You got to qualify them, get rid of somebody, figure it out at that point. Buy somebody. I don't know. But the point is, you're never going to be stuck with a star player. Not at that age. Not at his mid-20s. I don't see that. For sure. Joe Danto, little help next year. $3.4 million goes back from dead salary cap. No, that's true. As of right now, the Rangers are going to have $16 million to spend. He don't need to that's San Jose. What am I doing? Sorry, guys. The Rangers are going to have $16 million to spend, so I was pretty close. Hedo needs a deal. Laffy needs a deal. Kravtsov maybe. Gauthier probably not. Keandre needs a deal, so that money's going to go. It's going to go quick. Not all the time. Not all the time. So that's where my closing thoughts there. As far as the next show, again, it's been too long. I mean, I wanted to do one in January, and then life happened, and I couldn't, and then all the stuff going on. And what we'll probably do is we'll probably wait until closer to the deadline, unless if the Rangers go out there and big dick swing a big deal, emergency show is going to happen the night of. We're going to be fired up to talk about that deal. Keandre gets signed long-term, $5 million a year. You can't. I mean, he's any thought of a bridge. I think it's tough. I think it's tough. I really, really, really do. I just think you have to. I mean, look, he's not going to make Fox money, but he's going to make money. I mean, that's the problem. That is the problem. It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem because then, like, the salary cap just makes it so hard to keep these teams together. It stinks. And Jacob Truman's making $8 million. They suck. Don't worry about them. They're going nowhere. Worry about the hockey team. Frankie, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. Ray, as a Devils fan that watches the show, I appreciate you watching and interacting. I like your point of view. You're a respectable Devils fan. There aren't that many of them. You're welcome anytime. Again, thank you everybody for watching. If you are watching the live broadcast, again, a like is appreciated. It does help spread the word of BlueTruth out to more and more people. That's how the Facebook algorithm works. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter at BlueTruthSB. We have the YouTube channel to subscribe on. If you are watching the YouTube replay, thank you for that. Hey, make some plans to join us for a live show. The interaction is fun. That actually is what makes it fun for me. I always try to prepare what I think is enough content to go through about an hour. I always think it's not enough. It ends up being more because of the interaction with you guys. So thank you very much for that. It's always a pleasure talking to a lot of the same names too. And that's what's really fun because you build a bit of a community around this team that we love and live and die with. And look, the playoffs are coming. Stress and nausea is coming. Let's see what they do. I mean, I think they're going to be aggressive in a good way. I'm not concerned they're going to blow it up. I do think they're going to be aggressive enough though. Terry, my brother, you're out in the Pacific Northwest, so it's what? That's 7 o'clock there. It's probably the sunlight still there, right? PJ says, my thoughts on the cap. If a team drafts a player and decides to sign him long, they should get an exemption. They should do something because I think it sucks, right? I mean, it's just, yeah. Chad says, let's go Rangers. Let's go. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Jeff Ledford, first time watching. I'll be back for the next. Jeff, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the love and support. This is fun. I mean, we've been talking for an hour and 24 minutes, and it's felt like 10 because when you're talking about something that you love and have a passion for, time just flies. And that's always the case with this show. I'm part of the Sports Box Network. We do a variety of stuff, football, all that kind of stuff. I'm the only one that doesn't really like a solo show like this. And it's always kind of weird because you're talking to yourself, but you guys make it great. So I definitely, appreciate that. Apparently it's dark in Seattle. I would have thought 7:30. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's winter time. I don't know. PJ's trying to get me killed. maybe in the playoffs, right? Because the Islanders aren't going, so Borelli should be wide open in April. Bunch of jerks. Anyway, guys, thank you so very much for watching. Like and follow the show. We appreciate all the interaction and the comments back and forth. Love it when we disagree. That's okay. We all want what's best for our Rangers. We all want to see this team do well. Hopefully they got a run in them. On behalf of the BlueTruth Show, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next go around. Let's go Rangers.